Months before his absentee activities would make national headlines, state investigators were closely following Leslie McCrae Dowless. He's the man at the center of the election fraud scandal in North Carolina's 9th Congressional District. 13 News Now anchor Philip Townsend joins us from the newsroom with these new details. Philip, what were investigators looking for?
Jacqueline, quite a few things, according to documents that were just unsealed. They were after his ATM records, his personal banking records, the bank records of his political action committee, and his personal cell phone records. Now, the investigation into Dowless began last year in February. Today, he's currently awaiting trial for 7 felony charges. This is all stemming from accusations that he orchestrated an illegal ballot harvesting scam. Meanwhile, a new election is about to get underway for District 9. Last month, the State Board of Elections voted to redo the race. That was because it was tainted, ruled that it was tainted because of absentee ballot fraud. Now, candidate filing runs all week. We know that more than a dozen people already showing interest. Now, they'll be up against Democrat Dan McCready. He was the runner-up from that first election. Now, the primary election is scheduled for May 14th. If they need to have a second primary election, that'll be on September 10th. Of course, we will keep you updated as soon as new developments come in. Live in the newsroom, Philip Townsend, 13 News Now.